Hello, everyone. Today I'm back with a brand new chapter. Today I'm back with Business Studies Edexcel. We finished chapter 20 yesterday. We're doing quite well. Every 2 days we're finishing one chapter, which is great. Today we have chapter 21, business objectives. Okay, and it's a very important chapter because when you start a business, you start with objectives. Yeah, so it is an important chapter. Again, in Cambridge, business objectives, entrepreneurs come right in the beginning. It's in Unit 1. But of course, Edexcel has a different way to do things. They have structured the syllabus in an entirely new way, and yes, so it is at the end of Unit 1. So it's pretty interesting. Um, but so here it is. I will wait for my students to join. Um, I'll just give it, let's say, 20, 30 seconds or 40 seconds for everyone to join. And then I will start the class immediately. If you're here, just type yes so that I know you're here. If you're here, just type yes. Um, my students, if you're here, again, today's lesson is going to be very interesting. I've spent a lot of time, again, designing the lesson. Let me tell you, I change the slides every time I teach. I make it more relevant. I add things. So each time you see it's different. It's not like that I have a stock slide and I teach the same thing again and again and again. No, syllabus changes, the external environment changes, therefore the materials that we study also changes. Of course, the specification will remain within the limit, within the boundary of Edexcel or Cambridge. Also, we use the core textbook of Edexcel and Cambridge. We don't take any materials from any website or from any other books. There are some core textbooks that are mentioned in Cambridge and Edexcel's website. You can go and check, and we use them, and we have to use them. We don't have any other option. Let's start instead of wasting time. Okay, so I'll start with this picture. So this picture was taken in my office, a couple of months back, and I really like this picture. I was not posing, by the way. We were working, we were having a discussion, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of my students took this picture. Now it's a very special picture. It's in my office. Now it's a special picture because I always wanted to have an education institution. I always wanted to own one education institution, right? I always wanted to have a school, a university, or a college, and the dream was fulfilled. Yes, so it was a long dream, but was I always clear that I wanted an education institution? Did I have that clarity? Did I have that focus? No. In the beginning, I had an aim, right? I had an aim. The aim was to be a good human being and successful person in life. Okay? So I had an aim, a broad aim, a general aim. I want to be a good human being and a successful person in life. Now, in order to be a good human being, or in order to be a good, successful person in life, I'm just saying, from my point of view, what should I do? And then I came up with the objective later on in my life when I was 23, that I will start an education institution that will cater, that will serve the needs of students by implementing personal care and academic counseling. Okay, so objective has more clarity. Objective is more clear. Objective is more transparent. If you can see, aim is more broader, more vague. And that's how it happens. You have a general idea. Yes, you want to be a good human being or a very successful person in life. But then what is it? What are you going to do? And then you will have objectives are more clear. Okay, that I'm going to start an education institution and I'm going to teach high school kids or A levels, and I will do personal care We will do academic counseling sessions. Yes, so objective has more clarity. Okay. Um, if we go ahead, so in terms of business, I give you an example in terms of my life. In terms of a business, um, let's say a business can have an aim to become a big company in the country, okay, or let's say the leading company in the country or the biggest company in the country, and that's how a lot of companies aims are. If you go to the website, you will see. But how will you be the biggest company in the country? That's not clear in aims. So aims are very long term goals. Aims are vague, aims are broader. Whereas in objective C, okay, for let's say 1 year, we will increase our market share by 7% in 3 years, okay? Introducing new products, launching existing product in new cities, and implementing heavy television advertising. See how specific this is. You want to increase your sales, the number is given 7%. In how many years? Time frame is given 3 years. How are you going to do it? How? By introducing new products, by launching existing product in new markets or new cities, and by implementing heavy television advertising. So it is very clear, it is very focused, it is very transparent. Okay? So this is an example of an aim and a business objective. If you have any question, please do not hesitate um, to comment below. Yeah, let's go ahead. Now, business objectives, as I said, it's more clear. It has more clarity. It's more focused than aim. So this is why business objectives is very important. They give you clear objectives. And why is business objective important? Because when you work in a company, you're not working alone. You are working with, let's say, 100, 200, 900, 1,000 employees. So it is very important for everyone to know what you're doing. Yes, everybody should have a common shared goal. So having a business objective will motivate people. Okay, it will give them, a sense of purpose, a sense of direction. And if employees achieve that goal, probably they will get a bonus. So it is important to have an objective, just like this. Everybody knows that, okay, we have to increase our market share by 7% in 3 years by doing this, by doing that. So everyone is in a common page. Everyone knows what is supposed to be done. Everyone has a shared goal, a shared objective, right? Um, the second point is without objectives, owners may lose vision. Owners may be lost. Okay. Owners might lose control. They may be passive and aimless. You're just, running a company without a vision, without an objective. How is that possible? You need to plan. Like in our future, we plan, right? Okay, after, let's say, completing A levels or SSC, HSC, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, or I want to go to that university. I want to work here. I want to do my internship here. Similarly, in business, in every step, every year, or every quarter, you may have new objectives, long-term objectives, short-term objectives. It may differ, but you need to have objectives because without objectives, owners, employees may be demotivated. They may lose control, and it may be passive, it may be aimless. You're just lost somewhere. That's the second reason. The third reason is, I think I've already mentioned it. It gives you a sense of purpose. It gives you a sense of direction, that you know where you're going, where you're heading to. And that's quite important. And you will take the necessary steps where you want to reach, right? So that's that. So these are the three reasons why business objectives are so important. Yeah. Um, there we go. Let's go ahead and see if you have any questions. Please do not forget to comment in our comment section. We'll take all the questions. So let me give you an overview how it happens. So if you take my example, again, I'm just repeating because it's so important. Let's say my aim is to be a good human being and a successful person in life. And then objective becomes more focused. It has more clarity that I want to start an education institution that will serve the needs of students by implementing personal care and academic counseling session. And then how are you going to achieve this? Then comes your implementation and strategies. Okay, I will need a good location. I will need a good place in a busy area. I need to hire teachers or recruit teachers. I need to do advertising and marketing. So first comes aim, then comes objective, and then you have ground strategies and implementation. That's how it works. Okay. Um, so I have two objectives here for you to compare and understand. Objective one is increase sales as soon as possible. And then you have objective two, increase sales by 10% in 2 years by implementing social media advertising and launching product in 2 new cities. So, which one do you feel is more appropriate? Which one do you feel is more focused? Of course, objective two. I'll tell you why. Because it gives you a number. You want to increase sales by how much? It tells you a number. It's very specific. It is measurable. You can measure, right? In 2 years, it is time specific because in business, you need to have a time. You want to increase sales, but in how many years? You can't take 10 years, of course not. So it's very time specific. Okay, within that time, you have a target to meet. How are you going to do it? Social media advertising, okay, launching product in new cities. So it's very focused, it's measurable, right? It's realistic. Now, you just can't say, okay, I want to increase sales by 30% in 5 months. It does not sound realistic. Yes. So keep this in mind. It has to be realistic. So this brings to our next topic, SMART. So when you set an objective, if you look at the objective, you know, properly, it follows a certain criteria. SMART means specific. S is for specific. M is measurable. It can be measured. Agreed means everyone has approved of the objective that you have, or it's achievable. It's realistic. You have the resources available. It's realistic. It makes sense. And time specific. So that is SMART, SMART, SMART objective. So when you're creating objective for your company or your organization, you have to make sure it meets the SMART criteria. So objective one does not follow the SMART criteria. Objective two follows the SMART criteria. So it is specific. It gives you a certain numbers. It's very specific. It tells you how, when, where. It's measurable. You have numbers. If you have achieved the objective in 2 years, you can go back and say, okay, I have achieved the objective. If you haven't, you can also go back and say, okay, we haven't, but why? These are the mistakes, right? It's measurable. You have to, the objective needs to be agreed and approved by everyone. When you work for an organization, when you work for a company, when you take a decision, you always have to talk to everyone. Everyone needs to agree on that. Okay? And then, as I told you earlier, it needs to be realistic. Now, if you set unrealistic goals, like I want to increase sales by 50% in 1 year, that's unrealistic because you want to increase sales by 50%. It's not possible until and unless a miracle happens. So it has to be realistic. You need to have resources. Now, you want to increase sales by 10%. Now, for that, you'll do a lot of social media advertising. You're launching new product. Do you have enough people working for you? Go and check the HR department. Do you have enough money to make the products? Do you have enough money to launch, let's say, a new advertising campaign? Think about it, okay? And of course, we've talked about it. It needs to be time specific. You need to mention a certain time, right? Um, yeah, there we go. Let's see what we have up next. So the two most important objectives in a business is survival and profit maximization. Okay. We will have a look what survival is. Now take this scenario. Let's say you start a new company. Okay. Let's say you start a new makeup company. And when you start a makeup company, there's a lot of competition outside. And also, you're a very new company. People are not aware of your existence. It will take some time. Just look here. It will take some time for people to recognize your existence, that you are there. It will take some time to create brand loyalty. Okay? So as soon as you launch the business, you may not be successful. So do not be upset. It's okay. You have to constantly advertise and aware people that you exist, and it'll take some time. There are also a lot of competition in the market. As an entrepreneur, you may lack the experience, and that's totally fine because you're just a new entrepreneur, and you will learn it on the way. So there you go, right? Okay. And therefore, when you start a new business, your objective always must be survival. Survival means বাংলায় বলা হয় কোনোভাবে খেয়ে যদি বেঁচে থাকি. Okay? You just want to pay off your bills. You don't want to make too much of profit. You also don't want to make too much of loss, probably break even. You want to make sure you pay your bills like rents, electricity bills, wages, and you just want to survive because you're a new company. You've just started, and you don't have a lot of customers. Customers are not aware of your brand because you're new. It will take some time for people to know about your brand. You may lack the experience. When you start a new business, you may not have a lot of money, a lot of cash, a lot of resources. Yes. So survival, when you start a new business, survival is the key, right? So there you go. Another scenario is, let's say during COVID-19. Now, let's say my business, I'm just saying my business was doing very well. And all of a sudden, COVID-19 happened. We have to shut down our business. We have to stay inside, quarantine ourselves. And in that process, a lot of students will not do classes. We will lose a lot of money. So if our objective before the lockdown was maximizing profit, it will go back to survival because situations have changed now. And in business, situation will change. And with situation, your objectives will change. Okay? And now I will go back into survival mode because outside external situation is bad. We have COVID-19 or we have recession or there's some kind of bad situation. So now I'm back to my survival. I'll just try to pay my rent and bills and the necessary things instead of maximizing profit or doing this or doing that. Similarly, in 2008 or 9, if you remember, there was a recession. Okay? There was a recession. And a lot of companies lost a lot of money. And there were a lot of job losses. So all these big companies went back to survival mode. That, we just have to survive and stay in the business anyhow. Okay? So one of the most important objectives in business is survival. And survival happens in two conditions. First is when you start a new business, that's the first condition. And the second condition is whenever there's an emergency, like COVID-19 or like recession. Okay. Um, okay, why do I have this picture? Have a look at this picture. Give me a minute. Okay, why do I have this picture? Now, the second business objective, important business objective, is profit maximization. Now, I'll give an example of our institution. So in profit maximization, let me give an example. So these are some of the Facebook posts that we make and publish in our Facebook page. And we have been applauded. A lot of our students and parents and external stakeholders, they have really liked our social media. And there's a story behind it. So when I started the business, we had an agency, a marketing agency that used to do social media for us. But when a marketing agency will do social media for you, they will charge you a lot. So they used to charge us around 30 to 35,000 taka. And that's a lot. That's like a salary of one person. But since we were a startup, we need to save money. And I wanted to, decrease the spending, decrease the cost, decrease the expenditure, and increase in profit, maximize the profit. So we had a contract with them for, I think, 2-3 months. And I told them politely that, we want to discontinue. So we had an administrative executive. So what we did is we trained him. We trained him to learn Photoshop. We trained him to learn different softwares that could be easily used to make this Facebook post. And he eventually learned and he could make Facebook posts. So in this way, I did not had to pay him extra money because he was an administrative executive. I was already paying him. And yes, increased the salary a bit, but then I was saving a lot of money. I was saving probably 25,000 taka every month. So that is a lot of money. And if you calculate 25,000 taka into 10 or into 12, that is a huge sum of money. Later on, I also learned how to use Photoshop. Now I know how to use Photoshop and other softwares that are available, and we can make Facebook posts. And we can make Facebook posts of the same quality that a marketing agency can make. That is more important. If you want to cut cost and maximize profit, it's not a problem. But you have to think about, okay, if I'm cutting cost, is it going to harm your quality? Is it going to impact the quality? We thought about it and we saw that no, it's not going to impact the quality in the long run, and we managed it quite well. Okay, so we make our own things, and when you make your own stuff, it becomes cheaper. Yes, I give an example of my best friend Shujoy. He used to make his own fries in his restaurant, and he saved a lot of money. I'm saving a lot of money by making our own Facebook post in our institution without employing an agency. Now, second example, look at Apple or any other company that manufactures their electronic products, let's say in China. Now, have you questioned yourself, why does everyone make their products in China? Because labor is cheap. Okay, in America, probably you have to pay $10, $15 an hour. But in China, the rules and regulations are different. And it's much more flexible. And they could make the products in a much cheaper price. An iPhone can be made, let's say, $100 or $200. And therefore, they can be sold at a maximum price, decreasing the cost, but then the selling price is maximum. So a lot of electronic companies make their products in China to decrease the cost, okay, and increase in the revenue, maximizing their profit. Okay, it's not only Apple, but a lot of electronic companies. Also, China has the right skills and knowledge. Now, if you look at this, this is a very recognizable brand, H&M, and I really like H&M. Um, Now, why does H&M has a lot of why do they make clothes from Bangladesh, India, Turkey? Why? Because again, labor is cheap. Yes, and they can decrease in the spending and they can increase in the profit. The decreasing in the spending, but the cost of the clothes remains the same. Let's say if a shirt is, let's say, $10, uh, I mean the price is $10. uh, they're making it for only, let's say, $2, but they're still selling it for $10. So they are they're making a good profit of $8. So they're maximizing their profit, maximizing their sales. So without profit, business will not exist. Profit is quite important. But there are some businesses like these companies, Apple and Google and H&M, they're more aggressive, okay? And they want to make more profit. Yes. Um, because they will have board of directors, they will have a lot of people working for them, and they need to make a lot of profit, maximize their profit. Uh, yes, so they will keep the costs low, but charge as much as they can. Okay, the strategy will be skim pricing. Skimming pricing means keeping the pricing at a higher level. Skimming pricing. Okay, penetration pricing means keeping the price at a lower level. Okay, so and that's what a lot of luxury goods does, right? Their products will be made at a very cheaper price, like iPhone. Probably that's an iPhone will cost only $200 or $300 to make, but then they will sell it for 1,100, $1,200. See the difference, see the gap. Yeah. um, so there you go, and they will sell it to wealthy people, and wealthy people are not price sensitive. They do not mind spending so much of money for a product. Okay, so that is profit maximization. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to put down your questions here. We're doing quite well. We nearly end. So there are also other objectives. There are other objectives like sales maximization, market increasing market share, being cost efficient, thinking about employees, thinking about customers, and thinking about social objectives, right? We will talk about all these things in the next class. So today, we have talked about two important objectives: survival. Survival happens in two conditions: when you're a new business or when there's an external uncertainty like COVID-19, or like recession. There's very two important, and then we have profit maximization. Profit maximization is keeping your cost as low as possible, but then charging a high price, and in that way you can increase your profit. Yes, and it's done by Apple, it's done by H&M, it's done by a lot of luxury brands. Okay. We've also talked about smart objectives. Think about objectives, how specific they need to be, right? Specific, measurable, agreed, realistic, time specific. I've given you examples. Aim is very vague. Objective becomes more focused. And then you have implementation and strategies. Okay, how can we reach our objective? Right? And I've given you an example of two objectives: increase sales as soon as possible, which is very vague, which is not clear. And then you have objective two. Okay. And why is objective important? The three reasons are given here. Okay. And I've given an example in my personal context as well. So we have some more slides left. We'll finish this chapter tomorrow. It was a great class. Do not hesitate to like our page on Facebook, Fyruz Education Services. You can send me friend requests as well. It's Fyruz Khan. I don't have a fan page. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Fyruz Education Services. Again, we have a lot of videos. We're constantly updating our library. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to put it down here. I will take it. Thank you, and I will see you in the next class.